All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Kenyan family law, where love, property, and the legal system collide in some pretty unexpected ways. So just imagine this for a second. You and your partner, you spend years, maybe even a whole lifetime, working together. You build a home, you raise a family, you create this entire shared legacy. Every single brick, every shilling saved, it's all a testament to what you built together.
Now, you'd think the law would recognize that partnership, right? And, while you're both alive, modern Kenyan law pretty much does just that. It values the contribution each of you makes to the marriage.
But here is the massive twist. The moment one of you passes away, a completely different, much older set of rules can suddenly kick in. It's like the legal ground just shifts right from under your feet. And this isn't some far-fetched hypothetical. It's a very real and pretty challenging legal disconnect happening in Kenya. You've got these progressive, modern laws for married life clashing head-on with these really outdated laws that kick in after death.
So how in the world did this happen? Well, to really get it, we've got to go back in time. The roots of all this confusion, they go all the way back to the colonial era, which, believe me, created a serious legal maze.
Okay, so take a look at this timeline. When the British established colonial rule back in 1895, they brought English common law with them. Just 2 years later, it's officially part of the legal framework. What this did was create a dual system where English law was running right alongside African customary law. And that, right there, set the stage for decades of legal conflict. And wow, check out this quote from a 1952 court case. It tells you everything you need to know about the attitude back then. Colonial authorities often looked at customary marriages and dismissed them as wife purchase. This wasn't just an opinion, it officially pushed these unions down to a lower, almost illegitimate status in the eyes of the formal law.
Okay, let's fast forward to our time, the 21st century. Kenya started this massive overhaul of its family laws. The whole goal was to fix these historical inequalities and build a system that was actually fair for everybody.
And this whole reform was really built on 3 huge pillars. First, the 2010 Constitution, which laid down the principle of equality. Then came the Matrimonial Property Act in 2013, which said, hey, property rights are based on a spouse's contribution, not just whose name is on the deed. And finally, the big one, the 2014 Marriage Act, which took all the different types of marriage and brought them all under one single unified law.
And this table just shows the change so clearly. It's a total night and day difference. We went from a really chaotic system with separate laws for different marriages, where customary unions were kind of looked down upon, to a clean, simple system now. One marriage act and every single marriage has equal legal standing. Period.
A really crucial piece of this was the new rule that all marriages had to be registered. That simple act of getting a certificate was a game changer, especially for customary marriages. It gave them the exact same legal weight as any other union. It was a huge step forward. But just when it seems like everything is finally on the right track, the reality of the situation just hits you like a ton of bricks. As one legal journal put it, for many spouses, this promise of equality turns into, and I'm quoting here, a mere sham, a mirage of hope that dies with the death of a spouse. Oof. And that brings us right to the heart of the problem, what we're calling the Great Inheritance Disconnect. All those modern progressive family laws that protect you in life, they are totally out of sync with the old school law that takes over after death. So here's the absolute crux of it. The Matrimonial Property Act of 2013 says your share of the property is based on what you contribute. Makes sense, right? But the Law of Succession Act, which is from all the way back in 1981, says your inheritance is based simply on your marital status. All of your contribution, suddenly it's irrelevant. So what does this actually mean for someone when their spouse dies without leaving a will? Let's break down exactly what that old 1981 law says is supposed to happen. Okay, in the most common case, where you have a surviving spouse and kids, the process is pretty clear. First, the spouse gets all the personal stuff, household items. But for everything else, the house, the land, the investments, they only get something called a life interest. The property itself is ultimately ticketed for the children. And what in the world is a life interest? This is a really critical thing to understand. It means you can live in the house, you can collect rent from another property, you can use and benefit from it, but you don't own it. You can't sell it, you can't mortgage it, and you definitely can't leave it to someone else in your will. You're essentially just a caretaker for the next generation. Now, it's worth pointing out that while the law is pretty outdated when it comes to spouses, it's actually quite progressive about children.
It makes absolutely no distinction between biological kids, adopted kids, or kids born outside the marriage. When it comes to inheritance, they are all treated as equals.
So what we're left with is this fundamental problem. Kenya has two different sets of laws telling two completely different stories. One story is about partnership in life, and the other is about dependency in death.
And here's the injustice of it all, laid bare. You have a system where a spouse, and let's be honest, it's often a widow who contributed in non-financial ways for decades, has her contribution fully recognized while her husband is alive, only to have it pretty much ignored the moment he dies.
And that really leaves us with one last, powerful question that gets right to the heart of this whole thing. If a legal system is built to value the contributions inside a marriage during life, shouldn't it do the exact same thing in death?